Hello and welcome to Chapter 10, Using Language Well. Language is one of those things that we don't think about a lot, but it can very much impact many things about our lives. So let's go ahead and jump in. Language shapes our worldview. Can small language changes affect how we are viewed? Absolutely. Even using small little language changes like using slang instead of not using slang, both of which can affect how we are viewed in given situations. Also, small language changes increase motivation and persistence in the face of challenges? Absolutely. Using the small language change of yet versus now can build a growth mindset in people and thereby allow them to have more motivation and persistence. Can language use impact the audience emotionally? Absolutely. We see this in plays, movies, TV shows. In fact, William Shakespeare, I call him Bill because we're that close. What Bill Shakespeare did was he didn't actually make his own stories. What he did was he took the stories and put it into his own language and used iambic pentameter to then engage the audience emotionally. And that is why he is still remembered to this day. Can language use shape how we see the world? Absolutely. In fact, the Eskimos have over 100 words for ice or snow, so they are better able to distinguish between different ices and snows. On the opposite side, we have was an Aboriginal tribe who was isolated from the rest of the world, and they didn't have numbers beyond 7. So they were not able to count above 7 and then remember that number. And even more relevantly, when we learn definitions and the language of a certain subject, be it math, be it science, be it English, be it communication, we then are able to better discern those phenomena out there in the world. Can the language we use make us willing to assign blame? Absolutely. In fact, in certain countries, let's say that we accidentally knock a vase over. We would say that you knocked over the vase. But in other countries, they would say, in their own language, the vase knocked over. So that it wasn't so much about assigning blame, it was instead the vase fell over if it was an accident. So this has a lot of application to our criminal justice system, and this is very much where our language can very much have serious physical consequences. Can language make us better at navigating the world? Absolutely. When we learn different languages, we can go to different countries and actually communicate, but even more in a more minute level than that, we could, by communicating our ideas more effectively, it will allow us to build stronger connections and thereby navigate the world better. And can language we use change the physical world around us? Absolutely not. That is actually ridiculous. So let's talk. So now that we understand how language can truly impact us and all of the major ramifications that it can have, now we're going to discuss the meanings of words and put it into a more practical sense of how we use it. There's denotative meaning and connotative meaning. Denotative meaning are literal dictionary definitions of the word or phrase. This helps clarify the response. Whereas connotative meaning, it's the meaning suggested by the associations of emotions triggered by a word or phrase. In other words, the emotional response. So, if you use the word dove, it has a denotative meaning and a connotative meaning. Denotatively, it is a bird that is white. Whereas the connotative meaning may mean freedom and love and even equality. All of this to say that there can be diverse meanings and we can use different meanings to elicit different responses, either clarity or emotional response. Style is a pattern of choices attributed to a person by others to characterize or to distinguish him or her. We will be creating a certain style for our speeches. And there is a high latitude, a lot of acceptable behavior surrounding style and behavior. It can be as what are some of the styles we already know? Talk to every president. Each and every one of those presidents has a particular style. Arnold Schwarzenegger has his own particular delivery style. Any actor has their own specific delivery style. So it is our goal to try to find our own delivery style, but we also want to communicate that style confidently so that we are not diminishing our own style. A style is perceived by others and becomes a distinct signature of how you speak. There are styles in speeches where content and language can merge. This is where the language holds as much value as the content of what is being said. Shakespeare is a prime example of this. We also, style and language can direct listeners to particular action or to particular understandings or to particular emotional responses. And how we perceive the speaker influences their ethos, and style is a function of that. So, how do we improve our language choices? Language clarity and vividness in language. Let's start with language clarity. We always want to avoid cliches in both of these. Language clarity is using concrete words rather than abstract words. So instead of saying the truck drove away, to be more concrete, you would say the 2015 Honda Tacoma. I don't know if that's a word, but sure, or a truck. It probably isn't. That would be far more clear. Instead of saying the person went out for dessert, the person went out for mint chocolate chip ice cream. By using concrete words, it creates more clarity. We also want to limit jargon, slang, technical terms, or unknown words, because if the audience doesn't already understand that language, then it will diminish their clarity. And this also speaks to codes of language, because doctors, for example, they have their own distinct language, just like we do at our jobs. Also use words wisely. We want to be sure that we're using words wisely and also using words accurately to improve our clarity. Next, we move to vividness in language, and this is where a lot more of the intricacy of language can be developed, because in vividness of language, it is about creating this emotional response. There are 4 key ways: rhythm, intensity, comparisons, and vivid sounds. Let's jump right in. We have repetition. there are many ways to build rhythm. One of the ways is repetition. An instance of a word, phrase, or clause more than once in a short passage dwelling on a point. So this is repeating something over and over again, a small phrase. Parallel wording is slightly different. Parallel wording is word order with similarity of structure in a pair or series of related words, phrases, or clauses. So, where repetition is repeating the same word, parallel wording is using similar word orders. So, repetition, small phrases, quoth the raven, nevermore. Quoth the raven, nevermore. Quoth the raven, nevermore. Whereas parallel wording, we shall fight them on the beaches. We shall fight them here or there. We shall fight them everywhere. That would be more of the similarity in the sentences. And then we have antithesis. This is pairing of opposites within the speech that creates an imbalance that makes the audience want to listen more. The first one the first two we are going to be talking about are repetition and parallel wording. This can be best shown in this video. We'll only watch a little bit of it.
Ready? Yeah, you got your angle. Okay. Here we go.
There's a bucket in my pocket. There's a bucket in my pocket.
Walk it in my pocket.
Huh?
Walk it in my pocket.
Okay.
Walk it in my pocket. There's a walk it in my pocket. Walk it in my pocket. Walk it in my pocket. In my pocket.
This is going to stick in your head, by the way.
Did you ever have a feeling there's a basket in your basket, or a neural in your bureau, or was it in your closet? Sometimes I feel quite certain there's a jerkin in the curtain. Sometimes I have a feeling there's a Zop behind the clock, and that Zep up on the shelf. I have talked to him myself. I said that Zep up on the shelf. I have talked to him myself. That's the kind of house I live in. There's an ink up in the sink, and that Zap up in the lamp, and they're nice, I really think. And some of them are friendly, like that yacht up in the pot, but that yatto in the bottle. Some are friendly, some are not. Like that Zabo on the table and that gear under the chair, but that Bofo on the sofa. Well, I wish he wasn't there. And those numbers in the cupboards, yeah, they're fun to have about. But that new brush on my toothbrush, see him, I could do without.
So, is there any repetition of specific words? There, I guess. But it's more parallel wording that even though the words are not really the same, it's still a similarity of structure that throughout these that show this, that builds this rhythm and continue to build this rhythm. Now we move on to antithesis, and let's watch some of this. We'll only watch a small bit.
I'm a modern man, a man for the millennium, digital and smoke-free, a diversified, multicultural, postmodern deconstructionist, politically, anatomically, and ecologically incorrect. I've been uplinked and downloaded, I've been inputted and outsourced. I know the upside of downsizing, I know the downside of upgrading. I'm a high-tech lowlife, a cutting-edge, state-of-the-art, bi-coastal multitasker, and I can give you a gigabyte in a nanosecond. I'm new wave, but I'm old school, and my inner child is outward bound. I'm a hot-wired, heat-seeking, warm-hearted, cool customer, voice-activated and biodegradable.
So, first of all, there is a lot of parallel wording here. There is some repetition, but the big one is antithesis that continues to draw the audience in. I'm a warm-hearted, cool customer. Things like that can grab the audience's attention by pairing opposites. In fact, it was John F. Kennedy who used this quite a bit. Ask not what your country can do for you, but ask what you can do for your country. So, let's continue. Next, we jump into intensity. And this is through description and through stories, making the audience see the mental picture. So, description are details that suggest a mental picture of a person, event, or situation. So, it is about describing a situation instead of just simply saying, here's how it was. Next, stories. This is a narrative. It permits the speaker to see what's going on and to identify with it. So it's the difference between saying, I had a very rough day today, versus telling the story of your bad day that day, as well as describing all of the things that happened in that bad day. That makes it far more interesting and focuses more in the language and the mental image of that day. This also requires delivery. And this is going to be a common thread throughout all of the vividness of language, because delivery matters in this too. Because with rhythm, if you do not deliver it with that rhythm, then that's going to be a challenge. And that's not going to be as impactful. Same thing with intensity. If you don't deliver it with intensity, then that can be a challenge as well. We also have comparisons, and this is simile or metaphor. We know these, but they can be very useful when describing a situation, because we may not understand what what the meaning that you're trying to describe is, and comparisons can help with that. Simile is one thing is like another. It's an explicit comparison. A truck is as big as an elephant. It's as easy as ABC. She swims like a fish. She's like a moth to the flame. His heart is as cold as ice. All of those are explicit. It's comparing these two things. Whereas metaphor is one thing in term of another. This is an implicit comparison. He is a shining star. My teacher is a dragon, which is true. Just kidding. The world is a stage. Life is but a dream. These are implicit, and these are the ones that we should try to use more often, because where simile makes it explicit, meaning I am, as an observer, are explicitly comparing these two things. In a metaphor, I am part of the situation and I am making this connection on my own, and doesn't draw the attention of the speaker, the listener, out of the situation. Next, we have vivid sounds. We have alliteration, repetitive consonant sounds, or even onomatopoeia. A good example of alliteration could be the wind whistled through the wide open window. Yeah, that could work. Also, onomatopoeia are things like bang, crow, pop, anything that you would see in a 70s Batman TV show. Next, we see personification, and this is discussion of abstract complex ideas in human terms. It makes issues concrete and enables listeners to identify with another specific person. So, for example, putting it in human terms, the lightning danced across the sky. Does lightning dance? No, it doesn't. But by making it vivid in that way, we get a very interesting picture that again grabs the audience's attention through its vividness. So, we've talked about the ways to improve clarity and vividness. Now we're going to just talk about developing and improving our style. We want to be sure that we are incorporating stylistic choices into the outline. This means that addition of those styles, actually doing it. I know that we know how to do it, but actually incorporating it will affect the audience more with emotion. Also, revising the outline for style, looking to see where things are and how things should be, how style should be added. Practice the rhythm of the speech because you do not want to be going on a rhythm and then all of a sudden sort of fall off of it. Also, consider stylistic devices. Like, is this the right stylistic device for this situation? Avoid profanity, avoid sexist language, be culturally sensitive. This is, while this could be a style of a speaker, we do not want to be divisive. We do not want to diminish groups. And this is unfortunately something that has been occurring in the very recent present. So we want to try to avoid that and be more inclusive with our language. Also, become aware of other speakers' styles, and don't use too many of these things at once. Law of diminishing returns for that second one. Also, for the first one, becoming aware of other styles, emulating and taking some of the style of others is a good thing to do. But we want to make sure that we are being authentic to ourselves and not trying to be someone that we are not. That concludes language. I hope that this has been informative and have a great rest of your day.